Hello there, fellow YouTubers and ship geeks alike. This is your old friend Common Urban, and I've got another book review I want to do with you guys. And you're probably thinking, what's the book this time going to be, Commodore? Well, I showed you a couple days ago. I got in the mail from Half Price Books my copy of Robert Ballards Lusitania, and I actually just finished it last night. So I'm going to review with you the book Robert Ballards Lusitania. And this book is a 2007 reprint of his 1995 book, Exploring the Lusitania, which I've never read until now, so I guess I found that out a couple nights ago. I looked it up, and that's what it was. So anyway, Robert Ballards Lusitania is basically, like I said, a reprint of Exploring the Lusitania. So basically, it's the same thing as the other book. It's just a little bit different. And this book here has got so much information, and the way they set the book up, because for one, they have basically, like, before you talk about any disaster, you always talk about a general history of what it is that has been destroyed or whatever. So there's a little bit of a general backstory history to the Lusitania, why the Lusitania was built, and, you know, for whom she was built for and what she was. Lusitania was a luxury liner built for the Cunard Line to compete against the German liners at the time, which had taken the Blue Ribbon and landed away from the British. And so they built the Lusitania and Mauretania as a challenge to the Germans in response of liners such as the Kaiser Wilhelm Grosser and Deutschland. Anyway, the story really begins, the chapter 2 really begins kind of the story of the ship, its final voyage, which is called the 202nd Crossing. Basically, it just explains how all the people got on the ship and the events leading up to it, including the warning, which was placed in the papers, for the German embassy, which I can show you, including this warning here, and I'll read it to you. It says, "Notice: travelers intending to embark on the Atlantic voyage are reminded that a state of war exists between Germany and her allies, and Great Britain and her allies, that the zone of war includes the waters adjacent to the British Isles, that in accordance with formal notice given by the Imperial German government, vessels flying the flag of Great Britain or any of her allies are liable to destruction in those waters, and that travelers sailing in the war zone on ships of Great Britain or her allies do so at their own risk. Imperial German Embassy, Washington, D.C., April 22nd, 1915. So that's kind of a real grim thing to see. And just right above that was the ad for the sailing of the Lusitania. So really, it's almost really kind of ironic that, this ad would appear right below the Lusitania sailing ad, and later on, just several days later, the Lusitania would be sitting at the bottom of the Irish Sea. But no one thought anything about it, so when the Lusitania left New York, people generally thought of her being all blackened out. And in this book here, it says that her name and stuff was painted out black, but there had been pictures found since then of the ship, right up to her last voyage. And to her last voyage, you've seen the old video footage and stuff. Her name is clearly seen. You can see her name just fine. It's not painted out like a lot of people thought. And there's one rumor that's going on today as the color of the funnels. Were the funnels pure blackened out, or were they repainted the Cunard Line colors? Which, that's actually a good question. I don't know either about that one. That's actually a really good one to figure out. Anyway, then you basically go through the voyage, which was pretty uneventful until they hit the Irish coast on the 7th of May. And on the 7th of May, lying lurking off the coast of Ireland was the U-20, commanded by Walter Feger. He was the commanding officer of 20, and he actually, from a very, very lucky shot one G-type torpedo, which had about 300 pounds of explosive material in its warhead, hits the ship precisely about a little bit below the bridge, and basically causes one explosion, and a secondary explosion rips through the ship. And that's the explosion, basically, that signs her death warrant, or her death certificate. And he signed it with the torpedo. Anyway, and there's actually stuff here that talks about the explosion itself. and it's really, if you really read stuff about the explosion, the second explosion, it explains to you a little bit that, you know, it was a lot more violent. It was a lot more violent, a lot more noisier than the first. Because the first, as Captain Turner had said, it was like hearing like a slamming of a door on a windy day. And the second explosion had more of a deep rumble to it. So, you know, and after that, the ship started taking. Man, don't worry. The ship started taking out water and was listing to the starboard side. She was basically nosediving down into the Irish Sea. And at this time, the ship did not have much time to live. As from this Ken Marshall painting here shows, she's about all the way sank to the bottom of the Irish Sea. And the thing is, it was such a chaotic mess that in just 18 minutes, and I said this before in my other review of Remember Lusitania by Diane Preston, it just took 18 minutes, 18 fucking minutes for a ship of her size to sink. And it's just, it's nuts. And there was just so much death and destruction, especially in Queenstown. That's where all the survivors and the dead landed up at. And they called that place the City of the Dead for a long time, and they buried a lot of the victims in what were called mass graves, which are still attended to by Cunard today, which, as you can see in this photograph here, of one of the mass graves being, you know, sealed up, you know, which honestly is just, it's sad as hell, honestly, to think about it. And then the propaganda war, this is something really nuts too. The Germans took this as a victory, and they actually had 300 of these bronze medals struck up, you know, declaring the sinking to be a good thing. And there was one recruiting poster that said, and they struck a medal for this. And it showed the ship and stuff sinking and people dying in the water. Which honestly, I can truly honestly tell you that, yeah, I can understand what they're saying. See right here, here it is. Let's say, and they struck a medal off for this. And basically, and then it talks about the exploring of the ship. You know, Robert Ballard's exploration of the wreck. Which, honestly, these photographs here are just haunting, and they are also beautiful. They're very haunting and they're very beautiful photos of the wreck. Even though the wreck itself just looks like a big jumbled pile of, I don't really want to say it, because Lusitania is such a regal ship, but this is what Lusitania looked like before. This is what Lusitania looks like now. Big giant pile of, I guess I can say it, I don't want to say it, but a big giant pile of garbage. Just junk laying everywhere. And there's still bits and pieces you can see that remind you that this used to be a beautiful passenger ship and not just a big pile of scrap sitting on the bottom of the Irish Sea. She once was one of the fastest ships known to man. In a time when, you know, everybody. But the thing is, on the back of the book here, it says, now in this book, underwater explorer Robert Ballard's history-making finds are revealed as he probes the length of the haunting wreck in search of clues. And it talks right here, what sank the Lusitania? And they go into depth about, was there explosive contraband and stuff, and the thing is, they searched the area where the munitions would have been stored. The area is undamaged. And the thing that they found littering the bottom of the seabed was a bunch of coal. They're probably thinking, a bunch of coal. And I'll read it here. It says here, if illegal cargo didn't cause the fatal explosion, what did? We rejected the boilers as the cause. None of the survivors from the 3 operating boilers reported such an explosion, and it took us a while to realize the clues lay around us. Chunks of coal that had fallen out of the liner as she sank. On the Atlantic run, the Lusitania gobbled up coal at a rate of 1,000 tons a day. She carried her fuel in large bunkers located along the inside of the hull below the waterline. torpedo that would have struck the Lusitania's bunkers. No wonder coal spilled out of these as the great ship went down. With the aid of Cyphral Sprill, a British explosives expert, former naval officer, we set out to recreate the scene at the moment of the torpedo, and the story truly began to take form. After the voyage from New York, Lusitania's coal supply was getting very low. By now she carries more coal dust than coal. Layers of the stuff form thick carpets in the bunkers on either side of the boiler rooms. The Lusitania burned biniferous coal, a highly combustible type. Itself, the dust from this coal poses little danger, but a final ingredient is about to be added. A torpedo slams into the ship's side and explodes. The detonation shakes the entire ship, but no part more severely than the area around the coal bunkers on the starboard side. As if an earthquake has struck, violently shaken out of response, the coal dust rises, and an ominously dark cloud of a billowy like silt distributed from the seabed. It has been transformed. No longer is it merely the dirty byproduct of the ship's boiler room. It has become a high volatile mixed force-fed with oxygen. At the same result, a spark or flame ignites the mixture. The result is a massive, uncontrollable explosion, a tidal wave of fire that rips through the ship's lower decks as it blasts its way through the side of the hull. Within moments, the ship begins to list to starboard as uncounted thousands of gallons of seawater pour in, surging, smashing assault that nothing can stem. The Lusitania only has minutes to live. I mean, if you really think about it, yes, coal dust does make pretty good sense. And basically, the book ends there with acknowledgments and stuff like that. And honestly, it is a pretty good book. But before I tell you what I think about the book and everything else, I want to talk a little bit about the coal explosion. Here's the thing, I think. Well, if I go much further, I don't know. I'll save that, I guess, for another video. I'll make another video talking about the Lusitania's explosion and stuff. It'll be its own video, but let's get to the review part. What would I rate this book? Well, honestly, from a scale of 1 to 10, like I normally rate my books, reading, I would give this book a 10 because, it's opened my eyes to some facts I didn't even know about the Lusitania, honestly, and I've been working on the model for some time, but it opened up some facts about it I didn't know about, and it's such a really nice book. They also had released a new edition of the Discovery of the Titanic, which is called Robert Ballards Titanic, and an Discovery of the Bismarck, which is called Robert Ballards Bismarck. And so I might get them too, just to have the collection. So overall, I give the book a 10. And if you want to read it, like I said, go on halfpricebooks.com. You can buy it for $4 with $3 some shipping. It's about $7. Or if you can get it from your local library, you can just get it. And you can also get the original version of it too, which is called Exploring the Lusitania. So I hope you enjoyed this review. And if you did, please hit the like button. And if you got any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. And finally, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Sorry. Until next time, this is your friend, Commodore Urban, saying have fair seas and clear skies, and happy sailing with you.